Hello again, interwebs. This is my second video for the day on this channel because my first video was pretty serious, so I thought that I would lighten it up and do something happy, and I have a bunch of time to kill. So, this video is going to be kind of different. It's something that I wrote a while ago in response to a friend of mine, and this friend, he really doesn't like talking heads. He hates on talking heads all the time around me, and I love talking heads. So I'm going to specifically say the top 5 reasons that I love talking heads, just to spite him. Okay, so reason number 5 I love talking heads. Every member of Talking Heads is a multi-instrumentalist. Their live shows involved constant switching of instruments, and their songwriting process was innovative for the time because you would have band members playing all different things and jumping around from song to song on the album, and so it was more like a collective than a band. The number 4 reason I love Talking Heads is songs about buildings and food. In fact, the second Talking Heads album is called More Songs About Buildings and Food because a critic once said that all of their songs on their first album were about buildings and food, which they were. I love this simple subject matter because it takes simple things and it makes them beautiful. They use metaphors to make these simple things, like buildings and food, represent bigger things. For example, the song Nothing But Flowers, which is about flowers and plants, but it's more about the end of the world. Or the song Heaven, where heaven is the name of a bar, but heaven is also representing actual heaven. Really interesting things being done in that have huge societal statements, but have really basic concepts in the lyrics. And you also see that in some of their biggest hits, like Once in a Lifetime, Psycho Killer, and Burning Down the House, which were huge songs that had really dark messages in them, but they were really popular because they were danceable and the lyrics were interesting. Reason number 3 that I love Talking Heads is actually a person who isn't a member of the band, but might as well be, and that's Brian Eno. Brian Eno produced pretty much every Talking Heads recording, and the mixing on those albums is just absolutely beautiful. He also had really innovative ways of recording synthesized instruments to make them sound live. And you can really hear that on Remain in Light, which Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails has said numerous times he thinks Remain in Light is the best produced album of all time. And I tend to agree with him. I think when you put Remain in Light on with some headphones and turn it up really loud, you just hear everything. It has this cool three-dimensional sound, and not a single instrument is buried in the mix. It's a very, very cool experience. The number 2 reason I love Talking Heads is their general attitude. They never really took themselves seriously. In fact, they were incredibly zany. They had huge shows involving all sorts of video screens and crazy stuff, but they were still doing things that were really dumb and childish, like David Byrne would dance around in a giant suit, or they would all run in place together just because they thought it was funny. And when half the band went off to form another band called the Tom Tom Club, David Byrne even let Tom Tom Club have a mini set within the Talking Heads shows, because that was just the kind of experience it was. Going in with that zany attitude is that the Talking Heads were basically the punkest non-punk band. In fact, a lot of people at the time were calling them a punk band, and they still get grouped into the punk kind of period and genre, because they did shows at places like CBGB's and Max's Kansas City, where the Ramones and New York Dolls were playing. And they did that because they had the same kind of attitude, but a different approach. They even shared a bit of punk's disregard for authority with album titles like More Songs About Buildings and Food, which was a direct stab at their critics, or the name of this band is Talking Heads, which was specifically about people calling them the Talking Heads, even though they were actually called Talking Heads, and just all sorts of defiant things that they were doing. And finally, the number 1 reason I love Talking Heads is Stop Making Sense. Stop Making Sense is a concert film which was hugely innovative. It took their entire live show, recorded it on film as if it were a movie, and then played in cinemas just like any other traditional movie. It showcased the full diversity and talent of the band, and even had a performance from the Tom Tom Club in the middle. It showed the band's rise from CBGB to huge stages and stadium shows, and showed that they were just as entertaining and authentic as they were when they first started out. Unfortunately, Stop Making Sense is pretty much the only video recording we have of Talking Heads live, and David Byrne has expressly stated that he'll never get the band back together. So for those of us that never got around to seeing them or weren't alive when they were even playing, Stop Making Sense is all we have. Thankfully, it's such an innovative and such a legendary part of music history that I think we'll be okay with it. So there you have it. That's 5 reasons why I love Talking Heads, specifically despite my friend Ben. If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go listen to Remain in Light about 47 times now.